Welcome to the Peak of Possibility podcast, brought to you by Peak Path Health. If you're enjoying the show, please take a moment to like, comment, and subscribe. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Remember, if you or someone you care about is facing challenges, don't hesitate to reach out. We're here to support you on your journey to health and wellness. Welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Glynis, Franz, and this is the Peak of Possibility, brought to you by Peak Path Health. And today, our guest is Jeremy Jackson, who made his, is that right? You just gave me a crazy look.
I'm a crazy look guy. Dude.
Okay. Jeremy Jackson, who is best known for his breakout film in Baywatch at age 10, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And then, has been very open about some of his challenges, some of his downfalls, recovery, addiction, mental health, and ultimately healing. And so I'm really grateful to have you on the show today.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me on.
Fist bump. Yeah. Well, I'd like to start with the beginning, right?
Yeah.
So
in the beginning was the Word.
And the
Word was with God.
Exactly.
I am one with God, and as I speak, I create.
Wow.
There you go.
I love that. So, 10 years old.
Yeah.
Your first breakout role in Baywatch, right? What was that like coming into Hollywood at 10 years old as a 10-year-old boy and kind of getting all of this publicity and being in the public eye? What was that experience like?
Well, it was a trip, and it really started for me a lot earlier than that. I started acting when I was 6. I got a bunch of Mattel commercials, and then I was like the Mattel kid.
Yeah.
So I'm going, summer vacation, I'm going home, and I'm coming back and to school, and I'm on Frosted Mini Wheats commercial, I'm on Cheerios commercial, and Mervin's, and all the kids are seeing me, and felt like they hated me when I showed back up to school.
Right.
The girls loved me, boys hated me.
Right.
So that was like really weird. I thought they were going to be proud of me. I thought it was going to be fun. It helped me make friends, but it didn't. A lot of fights.
How did you get into it? Was it your parents?
I was a really rambunctious, really creative kid who loved to sing and dance and do comedy and play dress up and all that kind of stuff. And I was just always doing it. And I had a single mom, and we're not Hollywood peeps. We're like Orange County peeps, and didn't have anybody in the industry. But she just kind of called around and was like, my kid's such a ham. Like, it seems like he wants to do this. He won't stop, and just got this agent who ended up being a huge agent. She had like Screech from Saved by the Bell. She had the Olsen twins from Full House.
All the child actors.
She had all the big child actors, and it was just like, boom, we're on auditions, and I'm getting them quick.
Wow.
I grew up fatherless, right? And so just in me was this desire to get approval. And you got a male producer, a male director, a male casting agent, and I'm like, maybe this will be my dad. I'm trying to be the best kid to like earn a dad. Little did I know.
And literally in the show, right, you're playing the son
of a single parent. That's why it was a snap. And I'm from Orange County. I'm boogie boarding and surfing all the time. I already got a tan.
Right.
I'm already sandy. I love to swim. So when I showed up to that, that's really one of the things that helped me get Baywatch. It was a snap.
Right. So was there like a correlation with the show and your real life? And at 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, right? Such a young age. Was it hard to differentiate like who you were, find your identity at that time?
That's a kind of deep question I'd probably have to take some inventory on. But, in my mind, I was already really always envisioning this. Like, since I was in diapers, watching Michael Jackson, watching Elvis Presley, watching Knight Rider. So to become Knight Rider's son on a TV show, like in my mind, only made sense because I had already believed in it. I knew that's what I needed. So it was almost just more of manifestations coming true. Granted, I didn't know how much I'd have to deal with, like how much it would involve and what it would cost me. But I've always been that kind of eyes on the prize guy, which has its setbacks as well.
What did it cost you?
Man, I would say a lot of shame around body, acne.
Because you were going through puberty in front of the world, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So I'm surrounded by buff guys with six packs,
Right. The most handsome men on the face of the earth.
So
right?
yeah, in my mind, if you're not tan, if you don't have some muscles, like you're never going to make it. Right. If you don't have a supermodel girlfriend, like it means you're worthless.
Right.
Because here's Tommy Lee and here's Knight Rider and here's David Choke. Calvin Klein's underwear model guys, like that's what I'm around all day. Right. Guys that are known for being hunks. And so as a child, you're like, you have to be that. If you don't achieve that, like you're a loser. Right. So it cost me a lot of that, a lot of self-consciousness, a lot of insecurity. And it cost me a lot of false ideas about pining after fashion, money, fame. I can remember like being on the cover of the teen magazines, but like my picture was smaller than JTT's picture from Home Improvement. And it's like, I remember how bad that hurt. Like, why can't I be the biggest picture? What am I doing wrong that I'm not the bigger picture? I'm losing it. My picture is going to get smaller and smaller and smaller until I'm not even on the cover anymore. Right. What do I have to do? What do I have to give? Who do I have to be the biggest picture on the cover?
And was this messaging also relayed to you from the people in your circle?
Not even close.
It was just internalized?
Yeah, totally. I mean, I had that thing that I feel like most addicts have. I don't want to generalize, but that we've already got it all figured out. Everybody else is out of their mind, and we know how it should go. I had that thing,
Well, there's also something very abnormal about being a kid and growing up in the public eye and being around adults most of the time and working full days. Like, it's not a normal way to grow up. So how does a parent, how does a kid balance being a kid in a setting like that?
Yeah. So, now we get into kind of some of the cost, but also the rewards. So, honestly, I'm diagnosed dyslexic, ADD, hyperactive. I have dyslexia. I write backwards. I can't read words. They move around on a board. I score in the wrong goal when I get the ball in soccer. I get turned around. I skate backwards at the skating rink. So in the normal friend setting, in the normal school setting, I'm like really an odd man out.
Right.
Not fun for me. So then it was also like, so much better.
Right.
So much better makeup, hair, chef, stylist,
right.
Do your lines good. I'm good at that. I'm like, thank God I'm not suffering in that school thing. So,
so it was a little bit of a reprieve in some way.
It absolutely was.
No. All right. So when did some of the mental health and substance use challenges start to arise?
Yeah. I'm of the mindset that's really my factory default setting, that's just how I came off the line,
I believe that too.
Yeah. And of course exacerbated by or reaffirmed by life situations. My dad was a heroin addict. He was in and out. He was in prison for 15 years of his life. I never knew him. My mom just kind of told me that he had died from heroin, even though he was still alive. She didn't know where he was anyway, but she knew that wasn't a good role model for me, So, that's the first thing. Fatherless, not good enough, never affirmed, never confirmed by a father figure.
And there's also so much value and importance in having a male figure in your life,
100%.
As a young boy.
100%, yeah. So
invaluable. I mean, for development and security and identity and self-worth, it really is.
Yeah, I mean, I have friends that they complain about how their dad beat them and was an alcoholic asshole, and I'm like, dude, as a kid, I would have given my thumb for that. You cut off my right hand. Rather have a dad beat me and drinking if he's just there. Right. That's all I wanted, right? So, that does stuff to your mentality. That does stuff to your emotional state of being not as good as or being incomplete. My sister's father was a rapist, psychopath, potentially schizophrenic crank dealer that really just found my mom, stalked my mom, raped my mom, beat my mom. So I grew up with a lot of that. I got some physical abuse by him. We're running, we're hiding in bushes, doors are getting kicked down, tires screeching in the alley once a while. Oh, he's coming. That kind of thing for like a year. Custody battles for my sister, horrific lies. And so growing up in a lot of that stuff that creates PTSD, right? That had a big impact. But the addiction thing, I just always saw the kids separate from the group doing something naughty,
And this is like outside of work?
Outside of pre-Baywatch, Okay. I'm seeing the older kids and they're like smoking a cigarette or passing around a bottle, and I want to know what that is. And of course, hey, don't hang out with them, Mom. Yeah, the bad people, be whatever. And it just seems like other people have things figured out that I'm being kept from.
Right.
My world sucks. I'm not happy. And it seems like, I'm inside comparing to other people's outside. It feels like they're talking about a secret I need to know.
Right.
So I'm going to figure out how to do that. I was dipping cigarettes in nail polish remover and smoking them by probably 6, trying to find a high. Nobody ever told me about drugs. Nobody ever showed me, unless there's repressed memories that I don't remember. I was mixing household chemicals together, pine sol, bleach, ammonia, making little vials, playing chemist, probably getting high on fumes without knowing it. There was this preconceived idea, this seed in me, that I don't believe anybody planted, that there was a chemical solution to my internal problem. And I just needed to find it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, this will allow me to escape however I'm feeling or what I'm going through in this moment.
Absolutely.
So when did it become a problem? When did it shift from going to a place of like, okay, this is working for me? And also did it help your like you working as an actor?
It was always the secret I had to keep, right? Because I'm pretty young, right? If I'm 18, maybe they'll get it, but 14, kind of like, whoa, troubled youth. And also having friends of other families that didn't do that stuff. So I'm like, okay, if some healthy people don't do that. But I grew up with that hyperactivity, with that dyslexia. I was very hypersensitive to the point where, my mom took me completely off sugar. And I ate a Happy Meal one day after not having sugar for a couple years. And I went into a full-blown panic attack.
Wow.
Like I was hyperventilating, slamming my head against the dashboard. I went nuts. And that's how chemicals reacted for me. I was very sensitive to them. So there was this fear that I'm very sensitive to chemicals. Now I smoked weed and I drank booze, 14, skated, surfed, snowboard, all good, natural, legal, or not, weed's not legal, but it's natural, right? So I'm going pretty hard in the paint. My life is definitely all about that, unless I gotta go do something else, but I want to come back to that ASAP. And I think the turning point, honestly, was I was at a party and I was buzzed or something, and I feel like I remember somebody telling me like, "Hey, this pill is natural," and I took it, and it was great. And then
what was it?
It was ecstasy.
Oh, great!
And then
not
later,
natural, but great.
Right. But I think the pitch was like sassafras, Molly, MDMA, like it's pulled from a root. It's not really, you're not, because I knew my dad died from heroin, I knew homeless people smoked crack, and I didn't want to go there. So I was sticking to the natural stuff. And then my buddy was like, dude, do you know what's in that? And I was like, no. He's like, bro, there's like Coke, there's meth,
opiates sometimes.
And I was like, really? And I went, really? I didn't die.
Right.
It wasn't like, thank God I didn't die. It was like, I didn't die, which means Coke, meth, opiates, they're on the table now.
Right.
It didn't kill me.
I've already done them, right?
They're on the table. So I really went into some pretty heavy duty cocaine use. living my life like some kind of rock star at
And how old were you at this
16,
point?
probably 16.
Got it. And
Yeah.
and you're making all this money, right? And you probably have access to a lot of people.
I
who are
made sure
willing
I
to
had
give it
access.
to you.
I
Are you
closed,
sniffing it?
sniffing it, smoking it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And so how long did that go on for?
That went on for probably 2 years.
Okay, and so 16 to 18, you're sniffing, you're smoking. Are you like managing life? Are you still showing up to jobs? Are you remembering your lines? Are you sleeping? Are you doing school? Like, what does that look like as a 16-year-old?
Yeah, I had wiggled. I always say I wasn't smart enough to do schoolwork, but I was smart enough to get out of doing schoolwork. So, it was homeschooling and it was private tutors. And
you have a little bit of a pass, right?
Right. I wiggled my way out of, what's that? That's that word.
Accountability?
Accountability. Yeah, I wiggled my way out of that, right?
Right, because you're handsome, you're an actor, you're doing all these things. So a lot of people are probably just waving you on through. Athletes go through that as well, right?
Yeah.
Like, just
wielded
wave them
my
on
power.
through.
You want me to show up and do a good job, then leave me alone on this. Let's do something
And
experiential.
did this create this idea in your head that you were like invincible, that you could do whatever you
Unconsciously, for sure, because I'm a egomaniac with an inferiority complex.
Right.
So like I'm the best, but I'm never going to be good enough. So good at getting my way, but also feeling like crap in the
Sense
intro.
of entitlement, right?
Right. I want everything, but I don't deserve it, know? So I already kind of wiggled my way out of that responsibility and that accountability. So when the coke hit and I was out, I had already kind of assumed my dominance and it got pretty ugly to where, I'm turning down jobs, I'm skipping stuff, but I go to rehab for 30 days.
No, this is at 18 or 16?
18, yeah. But before, maybe even, 16 probably started going to rehab.
Are you being required to go to rehab?
My mom, my mom would demand it. I knew I fought it, but when you look at your scabby face and your purple hair and you got to show up and be the handsome boy on a surf show, it's like, okay, I gotta go clean up my act.
Right.
So put a couple pounds on, get sane, show up and do the job.
Cut the hair.
Yeah.
Or dye it brown.
Exactly, which we had to do.
Right. And is that a little bit of a euphemism for like the mask, right?
Oh, for sure.
Oh, okay. Like I'm doing this thing. Things aren't so good. So rather than making any real changes, because did you even think you had to at that point, aside from just like the external, view of others?
Yeah, hindsight's always 20/20, and when you're in it, you don't know. You can't smell your own shit. You've been sitting in it too long. You believe your own bullshit. You're engulfed in the story. And so, no, I don't know my ass from a hole in the ground. But what I do know is that it takes me 30 days, a good hairstylist, a couple facials, and a little bit of sun to bounce back. So let's just stick with that.
Invincible, right?
Yeah.
And then you have all these people in your corner who inevitably, want you to continue working, right? As much as you want to continue working in in the Hollywood, space, they have a vested interest in you being able to show up.
Yeah.
Right? Do you feel like these people who were in your circle genuinely cared and wanted you to be healthy and successful, or do you think it was more ulterior motives?
I've been pretty lucky. Baywatch wasn't, it was syndication. It was Channel 13. So it's not like $1 million an episode stuff like Friends. I got my granny and my mom and my sister and, some OC friends. And there's some Baywatch producers, they don't even know.
Right.
Nobody really knows, and if they really knew, then they'd probably put me in a straitjacket.
Right.
So I didn't dare really tell
keeping it a
anybody
secret.
what's going on. Drinking and smoking weed, whatever. I'm playing it down big time. So, they can only care for me as much as I let them or allow them,
So when does so you get sober for a period of time, do you go right back to it?
Yeah, I go and I do my work, and then I go right back to it. And it wasn't until the season I walked off at 18. So I did that for a couple of years. And, I partied and went to work, and I'd been up for like 5 days, and I tried to sleep, and like the Xanax really didn't put me to sleep. And I woke up and my tweaked out girlfriend had like drawn ivy all over me in a Sharpie marker. I was covered in Sharpie marker.
Oh my God. Wait, like ivy, like poison ivy?
Yes. Yeah. So I had this art all over me.
Art deco.
Like you do when you're tweaking. I woke up in a house with Christmas lights all over and, you know, that kind of stuff. And I tried to go to work, man. Oh my God. I tried to go to work. And, you know, that point where your mouth won't even work. You can't pronunciate.
Right.
Let alone remember your lines.
Trying to take a shower,
Oh,
can't eat.
God.
Yeah.
And I should have just brought some meth with me. I probably
Hindsight's
could have
20/20.
got through the day, but I was like, I'm not bringing it. It's so dirty, right? I'm going to come with a tweak pipe to a movie trailer.
Potentially break it, you know.
Oh, that'd be terrible. But I thought I could get through it, and I couldn't. And, you know, the incomprehensible demoralization hit, and when I had that opportunity to confide in people and say, dude, I need help, instead I said, you know, screw you, you're all not worth my time, and left with my middle finger in the air in the middle of a film day.
Wow.
And that's when I just really went dark. Shut off the phones, screw it. And I said, you know, I'm going to go from one life to I'm going to disavow that life. I'm going to be a drug dealer. I'm going to be, you know, nightclub, whatever, promoter. I'm just going to go and wield this power somewhere else, you know?
And how long did this kind of, I guess, chapter of your life last?
I got arrested at 20 for manufacturing methamphetamine with a 35-year sentence.
Wow, 18 to 20. So
Yeah.
you go from Baywatch to prison in 2 years.
Yeah, I go from dating, you know, Oscar and Academy Award winning now actresses who are super famous, and you know, red carpets, and
To tweaker girlfriends.
to tweaker apartments in Studio City where the power's off and the light's off when you're smoking dope off a scented candle that you can taste, and it's fucking terrible.
And when you're in that, right? Oh, scented. That's terrible.
That's all you got.
Yeah.
You got to do what you got to do.
You have
We
to
ran
do
a hose from outside to inside for water, the whole deal.
Oh, yeah. I've been there, done that. I get it. So when you're in this, you know, in this apartment in Studio City, for example, you know, using a scented candle to smoke tweak.
I still taste it.
Are you able to take a step back while you're in it and be like, how did I get here? Or are you just so deeply ingrained in like the lifestyle that you're living in that moment that you're like kind of removed from it?
Both. I mean, you know, the human nervous system will always choose a familiar hell over an unfamiliar heaven. So this hell had become my normal. And although it's decrepit and dangerous and guns and, you know, sex for sale and you know, lots of weird stuff, then, you know, I'm married to it. I want to succeed in this darkness so bad.
Right.
However, there were these very strange, sporadic moments where I would become aware, and I would catch myself out of the corner of my eye in a mirror, and I'd go, oh, and it would like all come back to me, and I'd be like, oh my gosh, 6 months ago you said you were going to stop. You're still going. You were sure you were going to stop. You were going to put an end to this. You were going to, that movie's tomorrow. Oh my gosh. And I'd like have this overwhelming awakening of, oh my gosh, okay, that's it.
The sense of dread, right?
And then it would 9 months would pass, and I'd still, oh, look at you now. You look like a freaking Skeletor.
Right.
You're still doing it. And then I'd forget. And then more time would go by. Oh no, this is the worst. This is like.
So would you use like the drugs when you would have these moments to kind of like blot out that like that dose of reality that you were having?
You know, if I had to analyze it, I would just say it's rationalization and justification. It would be, I'd walk out of that bathroom, sure, maybe packing or going to call somebody. And then there's that other friend with that big, huge problem that seems so big. And then you're into their thing. You know, it's like,
right.
And then if honestly, if you pay attention to those, it almost feels like you're just in a demonic state where if you do have the idea to maybe get out, there's 10 mofos going to pull you out of that realization because misery loves company. Right. And you got this choice to either go with them or like, what, have to kill them all. You know what I mean? Like, how am I going to get these leeches out of it? I can't pull this.
It feels like there's no way out.
Yeah, it's really gnarly, dude.
Right. Wow. So you are arrested for sales and manufacturing?
Yep.
For methamphetamine?
And back then it was a really big deal.
It's still a big deal, but yeah, it was a much bigger deal.
It was a much bigger deal.
How long ago was this?
This was almost 25 years ago.
Wow.
And I was in with some Hells Angels. I was in with the son of the Taiwanese mafia, who was their crystallizer.
The Taiwanese mafia? I've never even heard of that.
A DEA agent who was working with the Hells Angels. Mm-hmm. And it was when this ice in Hawaii was like $9,000 an ounce. And it just was so good. It made people absolutely nuts. Mm-hmm. That real meth doesn't exist anymore.
Right.
Luckily. But I whittled my way in deep to the inner sanctum of the deep, dark world, you know?
Wow. What an alternate universe. How many lives you've lived.
Talk about it.
So you're arrested. Mm-hmm. And what happens the moment that you're arrested? Like, what's going through your mind? Are you afraid? Are you relieved? Are you still in this belief that you can get out of it because you've had so many times where you've kind of just been pushed through and not been held accountable? Like what's going through your
So I remember that moment clear as day. You know, as that 16-year-old, I always just thought if I had enough dope, if I just had a lot, you know, if I had the keys to the castle, if I can make it myself, not get ripped off, not get cut stuff, not, you know, not have to wait for the plug. And I was sitting, looking outside of a window, living in secret in a closed bedroom of a mother to a young kid who was also an addict, living in secret because her mother owned the house and her mother lived at the house. If you can imagine that.
Nightmare.
With multiple ounces of meth that were going to run out. So we had to go make more, but plenty, and it was great and it was pure. And I always thought that would make me happy. And I remember having this realization, like, it's not fun anymore. And I was like, I'm not even high. I have all this dope, all these pipes, the perfect lighters, plenty of butane. It's like, you know, there was always this problem to solve. I was out of something. Yeah. And I'm like, I did it. And it doesn't even work anymore. And I was looking out the window and there was just an eerie feeling. Something's off. And I walked out that day to, you know, multiple vans, multiple shotguns, guys on the roof, hazmat units, and this big bus. They had been watching me, and it was the Newport Beach Police Department, which is where I grew up. Mm-hmm. Now, I was like way out in Yorba Linda. I wasn't in Newport Beach. It was very freaking confusing. And they sat me down and, you know, granted, as this happens, suddenly my lip is stuck to my upper teeth. I'm like, right. I'm so high. I realize how high I am. I was like,
you thought you weren't high.
5 minutes ago, I thought this stuff doesn't work. Right now, I'm like, I am like a fiend. I'm like a rabies freaking squirrel right now. Holy shit. And they looked at me. And these dudes, you know, they had some muscle on them. They were undercover with cool haircuts. They weren't like traditional cops. And they looked at me like with real honest question, like, what are you doing to yourself, kid? Right. You know? And I thought about it. I actually thought about it. And I was like, it was, although I had been to many rehabs, although I had been to many, you know, support groups and worked with people, I was like, I'm an addict. It, like, for the first time, I told them. Mm-hmm. And then I thought about it, and I was like, oh, just for one more time? Like, that was like, the consistent theme is just like one more time, all those glimpses and glances in the mirror, all those wake ups, all those opportunities missed, all that. I got to get my stuff together. And here I am. It's too late. I'm going to prison. Definitely no movie roles. Probably not going to come out the same. It's all changed. There is no hope.
Probably be on TMZ.
I've been surrendered by
Right.
by a power greater than myself.
Right.
And it was all for one more hit. And I'm an addict, and the Lambos I could have had, and the stuff I could have done, the trips I could be on right now,
all down the window.
Why I'm here, but for a high, and it was crushing, and I really surrendered at that moment, man. I really did. I stayed sober I didn't do meth for 14 years to that day.
Wow.
And I stayed.
Did you end up doing some time?
I stayed sober for 12 years from that day. Grace of God stuff, and a lot of money. All the money that we had hidden away in secret accounts that we didn't spend on rehabs and court cases got me out of that trouble. First offense like that, so I really lucked out, and it was actually the second time I had been caught in a lab situation. The first time they wanted those Hell's Angel guys, those DEA agent guys, not me. And I did 6 months in rehab, and I did 90 days in jail. First 90 days in jail, and then 6 months in rehab. That's how my first run of recovery started.
And were you kind of humbled in that moment, getting out of jail after 90 days and more willing? Do you think the aha moment was that arrest where you had that moment where you said, okay, I am in fact an addict, or was it jail? Do you think that these experiences are what led to you getting that time sober?
Yeah.
What do you think it was?
Fear sobered me for a bit. Then came the insidious day when I picked up again. It was definitely a shame and a fear-based thing. Matter of fact, I played it really small. I got a telemarketing job.
Right.
Just didn't want anybody to see me. Let me hide behind a curtain. And
That's so funny. Imagine. No, imagine Baywatch calls you, asking if you want to
right. Yeah.
purchase insurance or whatever it is.
Exactly. Yeah. Use a different name.
Yeah.
But truth be told, when I got out of jail and I got out of that 6 months in rehab, the first thing I did was go home to my mom's house and literally sleep for a year. I ate ice cream all day and popsicles. I had an ice cream and popsicle diet.
Right.
I called phone sex lines and party lines and stayed up all night long and slept all day. I became pale, pudgy, pillow burns in my head.
Right.
I was like, dude, if I walk outside, if I go for a walk, if I call anybody, if I go try to hang out anywhere, I'm dead.
Well, that's not sustainable either, right? And you know
definitely
better
not.
than,
Definitely not.
But you were able to sustain it, at least separation, for 12 years.
For a year, I did that, and then my mom kind of really took it on. She had some guys just come roust me, and thank God for those guys. They'd come out, they'd honk their horn. We're going surfing. We're going to shoot pool. No. And they took me to various support groups, and we attended those, and we went to dances, and I was like, maybe I could do this.
Right.
And so that was really kind of my introduction into the recovery world, and I just kind of did what they did, but still. It was more of a homework assignment. It was more of okay, I got to check this box, check that box. I got to go to that meeting, and I got to give this person a ride. And if I do that, and I'm a good boy, and I follow the rules, then life will be good, And it doesn't work like that. I didn't know that. Granted, I'm 20, right? So that first 12 years was more dutiful and still full of a lot of selfishness and self-centeredness, which I didn't think I had because I was giving.
Right.
I'm a kind giving guy.
Right.
I'm not the I want the bigger half of the sandwich guy. I'm not the screw you on a business deal guy. So I'm like, yeah, I'll skip through the selfishness and self-centered thing. I don't need the self-searching stuff.
Yeah.
And that was a
grave mistake.
Grave mistake and a big learning lesson for sure.
Yeah. I personally believe that there's no such thing as a mistake.
Yeah.
like, I think there's things that we could have done differently, that could have gone differently had we made different decisions. But if I can see things from a perspective of everything happens for a reason, truly, like nothing happens in, this spiritual universe by mistake, then I open myself to this like beautiful opportunity of growth.
Absolutely.
Right. And transcendence.
And it's up to us to take that perspective.
But I have to have that perspective in order to get the, the benefit of whatever mistake I've made. Right.
I think the Greeks called it the Magna Carta. Or the Felix Culpa, which is just translates to the great suffering, right? The pain, we say pain is the touchstone of spiritual growth, but it's that mistake that is telling us what not to do. It's like, hey, why don't we touch hot stoves? Why don't you run through fields of rose bushes? It's just not meant for me. That pain is not, I've had enough of it. I touched the hot stove enough, or I've felt the pain of this anxiety. I've felt the pain of this depression. I've felt the pain of this anger enough to know that it's actually not really meant for me. It was a lesson. It was actually a blessing. It was a teacher. Thank you, pain. I'm taking a new street,
So, okay, we've talked about the rise into Hollywood stardom, the fall and the demise, right? A period in between where there's some abstinence. So, when do we get to a place where, you inevitably relapse, right?
Yeah.
How long did that relapse last for?
Not about a year.
Okay. And after this year, what led you back, and what was different in this last sobriety? Like, what changed? Because I mean, what you're doing today is pretty amazing, right? You're doing wellness retreats, facilitating breathwork groups, teaching other people how to facilitate breathwork. So you're an entrepreneur. You're doing all kinds of things in the community, right? How does one get to a place of living as a drug addict, then a sober man on ice cream and what was it, cereal or something, right? To
cereal, yes.
Being this man in his community who's able to be so helpful and useful to other men. How does that happen?
It definitely from the process of going within, of deep self-exploration, of finding the solution in the problem, finding the message in the mess, getting all of that stuff on paper, surrendering myself to a life of service, a daily devotion to allowing God to guide me today, putting my stuff aside, and then knowing when to put my stuff aside, when to be of service, and when to dive back into the exploration of self to find more golden nuggets, man. So, essentially all of the chaos, all of the problem, all of the struggle, all of the strife has held beautiful realization, beautiful relief, and provided a very paradoxical in nature, sometimes, strange, but constructive, opposing attitude, behavior, mantra, perspective. And so, I've really kind of just been willing to do that. And so I've found ways that I believe will work. I've implemented those. I've just dedicated to the implementation of those, allowed those to stack up, and these things have become new habits.
So what are some of these ways?
Well, I will definitely start with what started this for me. The pain is what started it. But it's a practice by a guy named Emmett Fox. Emmett Fox is pretty well known for the book Sermon on the Mount, but he has a 2-page essay called The Golden Key. And in this 2-page essay called The Golden Key, he says the way of peace, the way of harmony, the way to overcome all and any of your troubles, no matter how big or how little they might be, is to not think about the problem and to think about God instead. And when I read it, it irritated me. It irked me.
Offended you?
It was like, bristled with antagonism. I said, there's just no way. You know what I mean? You don't know, like, how is this? I have this amount of money in my bank account and this amount of money in rent. How is not thinking about how to get more money, gonna get me more money, right? But I was at a point where, beaten to a state of sweet reasonableness, I was at a point where I didn't really have much more to lose other than potentially my own restlessness, irritability, and discontent. So I practice it, and I'm an extremist. I'm a perfectionist, and that's okay, right? And so I took the warrior attitude with it, and I just created a bunch of these mantras. Nothing's falling apart, everything's falling together. Nothing's falling apart, everything's falling together. Divine love is the only real power, and the only real power is divine love. I'm right where I'm supposed to be, and what's meant for me will be. The more I let go, the more I have. The more I give, the more I receive. I am growing and gaining in spiritual awareness. That's really, outside here, I know that's all I want, but then inside here, it's like, oh, but, and I realize that I die from the but, that I worship the God of but, but, like, yeah, but yeah, it should be, but, so there's, mostly I think about but. I think about what might intervene in this thing. So I really don't have any access to this divine intelligence, right? So I have access to divine intelligence. And so I just started living and dying by these. I got my little golden key tattoo right here. And I got the first golden key I ever used, which created a shift for me emotionally, which was embrace the mystery. Embrace the mystery. Native Americans call God the great mystery, and I realized that I'm suffering because I think I'm right, or I think I've got something figured out. It's time to put it on the shelf and worry about something else. Let's put that, I know enough about that. So embrace the mystery, embrace the mystery, embrace the mystery, embrace the mystery all day long. And I reprogrammed my brain. I literally uploaded enough data to get present and to see what is, rather than be consumed by what might be, what should be, what could have been, what should have been.
How long did this take?
It happened pretty quick, honestly. There was an instant.
Something happened.
I was like, oh, whoa, this could work. But I did it for 30 days, all day, every day. I let those thoughts be my most consistent thoughts. And my most frequent thoughts. And I especially rampaged on them when I got something in my teeth, right? When I got that splinter in my side. So that's especially when I did it. And it opened up a lot. It opened up a lot for me. After that, I would say I discovered some various forms of shadow work. You mentioned those masks.
Can you explain what shadow work is for those that don't know?
Well,
in the best way that you can.
I'm not a pro, but I'll give you the simplest one. I'm on the freeway, somebody cuts me off, I'm pissed. I don't like that I'm pissed, and I'm sure it's more their fault. I can say, I can give them a pass, like whatever, they're probably having a bad day, but it's really not doing anything. So I got to ask myself, why am I pissed that this person cut me off? Well, I'm pissed because they cut me off, because if they cut me off, that means that I'm a pushover. Okay. And I don't want to be a pushover, because if I'm a pushover, everybody's going to take advantage of me. And if everybody takes advantage of me, that means I'm not going to have anything. And this is just a conversation I'm having with myself. And if I don't have anything, that means I'm a loser.
And this isn't even a conscious conversation. That 100%. This is just the subconscious thing, these ideas that we start to believe about ourselves, right?
This isn't a conscious conversation that I used to have, but through the practice of shadow work, this is now something that I will stop and do when I'm in fear or when I'm agitated. I will ask myself, and I will answer all these questions. What's behind this? If I'm a loser, then there's no point to life. And if there's no point to life, then I'm going to give up. And if I give up, I'm going to get loaded. And if I get loaded, I'm going to die. And I'm like, oh, I'm not mad that person cut me off. I'm afraid of death.
Right.
I'm afraid of getting loaded and dying. Has nothing to do with that guy. It has from a deep-seated fear of my own.
Right.
Fear.
And then you could go even deeper and look at, when did this fear first start,
right.
At 4 years old.
But here's the thing. I can't do anything about that guy cutting me off. But I can do something about the deep-seated fear of death or the unknown or getting loaded, right? I can be like, well, wait a minute. Am I really afraid of death? Actually, no, I kind of have everybody expires in their time. Like death is not really the end; it's a beginning. That's what I believe consciously, but deep down in the subconscious, there's still this hidden root, and that root is causing this flourish of all this stuff that's poking me. I don't like it. I can just whack the weeds, or I can deep dive into what's really driving this idea, and now I can do something about that. And if I'm able to consistently, like the golden key, if I'm able to consistently look at that thing in a new way, that thing is going to atrophy. It's going to lose its power because I've given power to something else. Now I am a different person.
Right.
I have a new perspective.
A new reaction too. And you've retrained your behaviors when you go into this place where you're in fear of this thing, right? If you react in a different way and see it from a new perspective of enough times, suddenly it just becomes part of how you operate.
And the wild thing is that then all of a sudden you're not mad at people cutting you off. That's become a natural behavior, or organic new perspective, but you don't even notice it or give yourself credit to it because there's a whole new thing you got to work on. Yeah. So every time you solve a problem, just more are going to show up, and who cares? Because like this is life, man. This is life. It's a trip. And I'm just grateful to be a part of it.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you sharing all of that.
And it's a good it's just called a fear inventory. You just ask yourself, why I'm afraid of that? Because if that happens, I'm afraid this will happen.
Yeah, shadow work, inner child work. It's like kind of like all different language for the same thing.
Fear of death, fear of the unknown, fear of being alone,
fear of failure.
You're always going to end up at like those ones.
Right. 100%. Yeah. So tell me a little bit about what you're doing today. Energy is one of your many endeavors, right? Talk a little bit about it.
This is, I try to remind myself it's God's company. It's not mine. When I really committed to this stuff about 5 years ago, I got a random call, and this guy said, "Can you still do breath work?" And I've been doing breath work for 10 years. So I said, yeah. And I suited up and I showed up.
Breath work it's insane too. Yeah. If you haven't done breath work, I strongly suggest trying it. It is like a psychedelic trip, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
it
but
really
with
is.
no psychedelics.
Yeah.
Except for the ones that your body naturally releases.
Yeah, you call it somatic healing. You could call it metaphysical healing. You could call it spiritual treatment. You could call it reduction in autonomic arousal. See, the thing is with the ego and with the fear and with the, tangible universe seeming to be coming against you, you can get out of that. And you can get present, and the truth really sings so loud and so clear as you
don't have a choice either.
You find heaven from backing your way out of hell.
Yeah.
And so breath work just really helps you get there. And so I showed up and I did that, and that turned into a lot, and a lot turned into too much. And lo and behold, I had some buddies that I'd been mentoring and spending time with who were privy to a lot of these groups, who were ready to do them on their own. And so now we got this, facilitation company of 10 amazing individuals that we continue to meet with and train and bring new practices from somatic work, sound bath, breath work, shadow work, identifying the masks, where you picked it up, what it's protecting you from,
or
but
what
also
you think it's protecting you from.
Good point. But also what it's costing you, and most importantly,
cost benefit analysis. I was told to do that.
We can't teach anybody. All we can do is create them to think, right? And we want to provide an opportunity for people to be able to think outside of their current problems, and light the way for that path of self-realization, of self-healing, of new ideas, right? And new possibilities. And just cracking that door open has been amazing. We have like 50 groups in Orange County. We're definitely looking to grow and spread. We have an online course that's in development. We're going to be certifying people in breath work online. Awesome. Energy Academy, it's called. So for your own breath work, for working in small groups on more of a spiritual basis, but then also trauma informed, working with more, mental facilities or PTSD veterans. That's a little bit deeper of work. So we're going to train people in that. We want this to shine and spread. God brought me out to Costa Rica on a retreat to lead breathwork, and I met the two greatest guys in the world, Terry and Aaron, who are now my co-partners, co-creators for what is called the Balanced Man Retreat every 3 months in Costa Rica. We're boxing, we're doing jiu-jitsu, we're doing open ocean swims, we're praying, we're meditating, we're stretching, we're up at 5 a.m. And, we're showing guys through these practices that the microcosm is the macrocosm, that as within, so without, that whatever comes up for you in boxing, whatever comes up for you in the open ocean swim, whatever comes up for you on that 4-hour hike, it's not the hike.
It's ego.
That's coming up in your relationship. That's
Right.
coming up in your career. That's coming up in your experience with food or health. That's there. If you squeeze a lemon juice comes out, dude, right? You can't get blood from a stone.
Right.
So like what's in you is what's going to come out. And so we introduce guys to these different containers, safe containers to feel their anxiety, to feel their desire to give up, to feel that ego and trying to be better than whatever it is. Right. And it's like, okay, because if you can process it here and then reconnect, take a breath and stay in the game, then you can do it anywhere, because how you do anything is how you do everything.
Right.
And that community, that brotherhood, it's not a sober only thing. It's anybody anywhere in the world, 18, we've had 70-year-old guys on the retreat.
And how funny that you go from being a young boy who doesn't have a father or a male figure in your life, and now years later you've kind of transcended into a place where you're able to hold this space and be this man who is offering love and guidance and nurturing to other men.
I've shed many a tear in that realization that all I wanted outside of me, I'm now able to have inside of me, and the universe has called upon me to give it away, the very thing I never had. It's so powerful, man. It's just a testament to like the walk, man. It's so cool.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I think we're gonna end with that. I think this was great. Yeah. And I wanna thank you so much for coming and speaking so honestly and so openly. It was really great to get to know you.
Likewise.
Thank you. I think that's all we got. Thank you so much for joining us today on the Peak of Possibility, brought to you by Peak Path Health. If you or somebody you know is struggling with mental health, addiction, if you enjoyed the episode, please like, comment, subscribe. You can find Jeremy Jackson at Jeremy Jackson on Instagram and most social media profiles. And we hope you enjoyed the show.
Peace.